update not too long ago, but I had this early morning revelation. It was about a week ago, I think maybe. And I woke up like 2:30 in the morning just having some grief episodes, crying. And I just started praying and doing some of my grief work because I couldn't go back to sleep. So get up, have coffee, pray. I was out in Quartzsite and this was a boondocking spot. Even though there were neighbors in close proximity, I was very isolated and alone, and it was great. Some ideas started popping up, like I was being downloaded with fresh information. So since I began this journey of trailer life, living full time as a nomad, I've struggled with feeling like I'm going to end up wandering mindlessly. Like, where am I going? What's the purpose? What's the point of this travel journey? I've really come to terms with the boondocking and I love it. Um, do I want to pick up stakes and keep going? Yes. Still have some concerns over my mom, trying to navigate ways where maybe I don't need to pull the trailer home on a regular basis, but if I leave it at my friend's ranch, it's only like a 5.5 hour drive to get to my mom and stay for a few days because I do have a place I can stay there. So navigating some of these because I really want to travel further than just Arizona and Utah, which are right next door to California. I've seen everything, basically. I've traveled in an RV my entire life. My dad and I, even later in years with my kids, we did it again. And we traveled to radio stations and TV stations in the motorhome to conduct business. And then I started digging into, but what is it about the work that I missed? And it wasn't the FCC compliance stuff. There was no creative opportunities in there. It's just all very regulatory. And it's not the transmitter sites. Usually it's a very long drive to get to a transmitter site. It's pretty boring there. Oftentimes when we did that kind of work, I would stay back at the station and review whatever needed to be reviewed at the radio station or the television station, like their public files. Dad would take the trip out to the transmitter, which helped us cut our day literally in half. So those were oftentimes how things went. And what I realized I loved the most was visiting the stations, was the people inside the building, radio people. I love them. And that was really fun. And oftentimes I had the opportunity just to chit chat about what they do in their local community, because that's what working with the public file was all about. Public file is about, part of it is documenting what your station does in the city that you're licensed in order to have the privilege to have this license to broadcast. And obviously that's where license to be badass kind of part of the origin. License is super duper important. So anyway, how can I keep the happy memories of working with my dad alive and not abandon my radio roots entirely while I do what I'm doing? I was invited to join some couples at a campfire. And even though it was day after therapy, my brain is usually pretty fried after therapy sessions all day long. But I was glad to be invited. It was a small group. And the couple that invited me had already met several times and really liked them. So I really wanted to make the effort to get out there. And I'm glad I did. So there was an issue that they were sitting around discussing, and it was a business matter. And when I introduced myself, I'm a psychotherapist. That's all that they know. They don't, I haven't gotten to the point of my history background, because once you say I'm a psychotherapist, the questions stop. Nobody wants to know, how did you become a therapist? How long have you been a therapist? How do you blah, 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 blah. Usually their responses are, oh, if so-and-so could use some therapy, maybe you can help them. And then, and they move on, which is totally fine. I don't need to spread my whole story around to people. It's not really necessary or relevant with this lifestyle. But there was something that came up, and I was listening to them talk about this, and I was just shocked and appalled about the business decision that had been made against them, not a decision they made in the incident, but something that had been made against them. And I was like, hold on a minute. You guys all know that I'm a therapist. What you probably don't know is I've been in the business world for a really long time. And so I shared with them that my perspective on this whole incident was, it was about somebody had the power and control, and they didn't like that they weren't asked permission for something that these individuals had done. And anyway, that started a whole dialogue about my background in radio. which probably helped prompt this early morning revelation. So I am thinking, and so this is the beginning of maybe the possible adventure to come, that when my time in at the ranch concludes in a couple of months, and the reason I'm staying there stationary for a couple of months is because this guy, see, this is what happens. So anyway, so he is going to get neutered. I know I said that in the last video, and that's going to take a couple weeks for him to recover. And then we're going to work on some dog obedience training. Not that he's a bad dog. He just needs to learn some new commands like come and not jump on people and not be so reactive. We have some work to do because he knows sit, he knows lay down, he knows stay, he knows to play fetch. And he's getting better on the leash with walking, but there's a few things we need to work on. So I'm going to stay put at the ranch. I have been thinking about the Kelly Orchard's apple a day. These are business marketing and branding and books and audio and things that I've done that, and I would think that my mindset wasn't necessarily on trying to make a lot of money. I'm a psychotherapist, and you can only do so many therapy sessions a week before you're just completely fried out, basically. But I still have all this creative energy, this experience where these are my skill sets, and utilizing them to try to create another stream of income. When I took off on this journey after placing my parents in assisted living, I had decided, it was a deliberate decision to just put all of those efforts in a ice box and freeze them for a bit. And so now it's been 14 months, and it seems as though the universe has given me new insights on what to do. And I have my Apple a Day, which is a 60-second audio feature. Basically, it's Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day, 60 seconds on wisdom, success, and personal growth. And I did one a day for an entire year. So there's a entire 365 days with different themes, 30 at a time, like once a month. And I had, before or during COVID, so sometime in the last few years, got some radio stations to air the Apple a Day. It's probably on 20 stations by now. Right now, I'm not monitoring it very closely. I'm not making any money with it. I just keep uploading them, and whoever's using them is using them. Probably need to change that, but I just love radio. And I had asked my dad about this, the wisdom in that. And he says, so what? It's getting exposure. And if I add up how many potential listeners these stations have collectively, I'm probably being heard by at least 500,000 people across the country. Certainly not big, but still something, right? And I have some connections with small market radio independent broadcasters still. And so I was thinking, what if I go visit the stations that are airing my Apple a Day? What if that's my journey, my purpose? Just go out and see them, and then not even charge them just to come visit for a day. Just do a little brainstorming with them, how I can help. Because my experience is unique and different, but I think like an owner. I don't think like a sales manager. I don't think like a programmer. I think like an owner. And the bottom line is, are my people happy enough to stay working for me and help generate revenue so that we can pay the bills and get this place profitable? That would be my only goal. And so the idea is still developing. So I thought, okay, I'm going to document the idea that started to go visit radio stations. I'm going to go visit radio stations. That will be what I show. Get a little video of it, sit down and interview whoever wants to be interviewed, but more like a conversation about how they serve their community with success in their communities, and then publish those videos. But I'm actually going to go see them. So is it realistic for me to do something like that? Yes and no. Yes, obviously, in the contiguous states, you can get just about anywhere. Pulling a travel trailer, you have to have a couple days of travel for that, but I've done it. I did it with my dad when we were doing Orchard Media Services and seeing stations for FCC compliant. He would just get them all lined up, and then he would schedule a travel schedule, and then we would go. Or I was in school, I think I might have been working on my bachelor's degree. I don't know, at some point. But I would be at the home base taking care of all of the home base kind of stuff and keeping in contact, and dad would be out on the road, or we would be going together if it was cross country. So now, can I do this by myself? I'm not interested in FCC compliance, but that's definitely an area I can look at your public files and tell you, I'm not going to go visit a transfer site. I'm not going to give you a certificate. I'm not going to do any of that, but I can take a peek and show you how you can improve some things And then if they're running the apple a day, great, continue to work on the relationship. It's also a sponsorable feature. You can make money with it. Let me help you identify clients that you could do. And heck, if I happen to be there and you can get an appointment with a client, I'll go with you to see them. I just think that would be fun. And it would give me a reason to go to certain cities and towns and explore there. I've traveled the country, so I've seen all of the monuments and all of the tourist attractions and all of the national parks. So I'd like to have a purpose of the travel. Why am I doing this? Where am I supposed to go? And then all of a sudden, like a download, like a flash, it was like, try this. So that's the purpose of today's video. Is I just wanted to document the progression of this. Do I need dates? I'm not going to put it on a video because I don't know when or if this video will ever be made public. I'm leaning towards it will be, even without hair and makeup done. I just want it to be authentic. It's right now, it's 6:30 in the morning and I'm just drinking my coffee. I've been up for a few hours because sleep does not come easily for me with my grief and stuff. I'm still working on everything. So here I am right now. I left my beautiful boondocking peaceful spot in Quartzsite and came to a campground, which is frankly challenged, but at least there's water and electricity, and my friends are like 2 spots over. Bill looked at my electrical lighting issue yesterday, and I found some comfort in the fact that even he was perplexed and having a hard time figuring it out, almost to the point where he's going to give up until one of his buddies came over. And now we've got 2 men brainstorming on what the issues are. And then not too long later, there was a 3rd gentleman. These 3 men are like, they're like determined they're going to figure this out. It's been this way now for an entire year with somebody looking at the electrical issue and being perplexed by it and saying, I just don't know what happened here. But they worked on it a lot yesterday and just trying to figure it out. And they got some that are working, but because my lights on the truck were on all day, the battery on the truck died. So now they had to charge my truck battery all night long. And I've learned I need to get a new tire for the trailer, and I probably need a new battery for the truck because it is probably the original battery from 2012. I'm gonna, because they said this battery is ancient. Have you changed the battery since you've had the truck? No. Have you ever had trouble starting it? No. You're gonna start. Oh, well, okay. But they're going to finish working on the lights because this whole entire time, my running lights, the outside running lights have never worked. So it hasn't been a huge issue for me because I don't drive at night anyway. I can't. My vision won't allow me to drive at night. But the other day, it became an issue because I left the bash early because it was going to rain. And I knew that I can't drive in the rain because I can't turn on my headlights. I don't have any lights. So it's become, all right, we got to take this care of this. So I'm really glad that I'm here so Bill can do this. But it's only 3 nights, and then I head out to the ranch in Apache Junction where the Alderetti family has given me a temporary, permanent space to park the trailer and stay. I'm at this campground, and that's so different from where we were to where we are now. But I'm so glad that I only stayed 3 nights. We have 1 more night, so I have all day today. So Bill and his buddies are still going to work on my lighting on the trailer, but I have to be inside in therapy sessions all day long. I've got 9 clients today, and I had to look at them. I was like, I can't help you. I can't answer your questions. I know everything's going to be done outside. You don't need me, but just know that. I was like, I can respond to texts if necessary. And I have a couple of hours sporadically that I have a break. But other than that, I pray to God you guys get it fixed. There was a few other things I wanted him to work on, but this was the main one. And so if he fixes this, then when I get out to the ranch, I would call him a ranch hand. They call him a caretaker. He's probably the caretaker, but when I use the term caretaker, I usually am referring to my mom's caretaker in health. So the term just confuses me. So his name is Scott. I call Scott the ranch hand, but he's very skilled. In fact, he was the first one to try to help me with this lighting issue, and he got frustrated with it and couldn't figure it out and was determined to figure it out. But then I left, and then I come back, and then I got other issues, and so we've never just readdressed it. But if that's fixed, then the other little things I needed help with, Scott can do. So getting the little things done with the trailer is super important before I take off on a major road trips. I've got a couple of months to figure that out. I'm already contemplating and navigating how I will go see my mother and my son and my family, my granddaughters, before I take off and embark on a trip like that. I have some phone calls to make just to suss out the idea and see if it's realistic or even fun and where I go from there. Because obviously, I don't want to do this for free. Totally. If the station would love for me to come to see them, just help pay my travel expense to get there. And in this case, it would only be gas from point A to point B. How much gas is it going to take me to get there? And then put me up in your parking lot of your radio station or near it. I don't need anything fancy. Wouldn't even need electricity or water if I'm prepared for that. If you have that, great, wonderful. If not, I'm sustainable. But if you got a big enough parking lot, let me stay there for a week or two. And not that I would work with the station the whole time. I still have my therapy practice. That's my bread and butter. That's why it doesn't matter that I come to see you, because I'm going to do this anyway. But it would be fun to visit radio stations and radio people and give them a little boost and a positive energy injection. And then if they want to hire me, then we could figure that out. It's not going to be a sales pitch at all. It's just going to be, yeah, Kelly, I think we could really use some of your energy, your ideas. And it's not even just energy and ideas. I also know how to execute. So any idea I come up with, I'm going to know how to execute it. And my goal would be to guide you through it, because I would rather you want me to come back. So from my perspective, it's let it all be generated for revenue, and I'll take a cut of that rather than you pay me up front for me to do nothing and just leave. We'll see how that concept works. But I think it might be a risk I'm willing to take in order to really help small market, independent broadcasters with their operations. We'll see if this idea takes flight, if it grows some legs, because I've had other ones. But radio has always been like part of I wonder if I could do this, or I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if this would happen. This might be much more fun. So I guess I could just say details to come as the idea develops. That's why it's often hard for me to have that business building mentality now, because there's other things that I have to manage first. But I'm hoping that I'm coming up with some fresh ideas and direction to have a purpose as to why I'm out here. More on the adventures of Callie and Kismet to come.